What is up, guys? It is Joe. We're back. We're talking ball about the Cats, and in today's video, it is officially basketball season. It sounds weird because we're in the overlap point where basketball and football are both happening right now, but yesterday night, you got to see K-State basketball take the court for the first time in an exhibition match versus Fort Hays State University. K-State getting the win. I think it was 70-56 or whatever the case is. I'm going to talk about my thoughts as I usually do for football, talk my thoughts through with my first impressions of Kansas State basketball, and give you a little bit of background on what I thought about the performance. Before I do get into things, I got to tell you this. I love that you guys support me, and I love that you guys support all the K-State individuals in the K-State community, whether it's YouTube, Twitter, social media, whatever the case. There's a group of dudes that I happen to really like over at Cocaine Willie. I've done a couple of different podcast episodes with them recently. They are 17 subscribers away from being able to monetize on their channel. Please go over and check the channel out. You can check out the episodes, whether it's pre-games for each football week or it's just your boy talking ball. But I will link their stuff in the description. It's another K-State show that does great work. If you want some more ball on your feed, it is a great time to have those dudes around. 17 subs, we have to get there together, and I know you guys can help out with that. Now, I want to go kind of in order of what popped most important to me and what wasn't. The first thing I saw, no Max Jones. Max was in a boot. It doesn't sound like it's too serious. Coach Tang talked about it as a non-severe toe injury heading into the game, and they just wanted to be cautionary with it rather than having him get out there, re-injure something, risking it in an exhibition game. I would assume he's back next week for the actual starter, but we will see what happens there. My personal guess is that Max would have started on that basketball court. But obviously, we don't know the starting rotation yet, and I don't know that the staff does either. You know, this is a time where you're trying to figure out who needs the most minutes, who doesn't, who needs this, who needs this. And there were some guys that shined in that role, so there's a lot of good things going around. After the Max injury update, the next thing that popped to me, one, Coleman Hawkins is a hell of a ball player. The dude had 13, 6, and 7, 6 assists, 7 rebounds in the contest. And obviously, it took him a little bit to get going. I think a lot of the guys are just not even nervous, but it's understandable that this was a sloppy basketball game. They still comfortably handled the game, and I don't think anybody doubted that. But the point of what I'm saying is it took a little bit to get going, and that's fine. I think the guys are still learning how to be a team. I mean, that's not going to be fixed by the first preseason game ever. They're not going to be that 2022 Elite Eight team off the rip. But in that performance, Coleman Hawkins showed some leadership and stood up. I mean, he looked like a guy who Coach Tang is advertised in the sense that, hey, we want multiple ball handlers on the court, not just like guys that are dribbling well. We want guys that are true point guards, and you can use Coleman Hawkins kind of as this point forward to get the offense going. He is a mismatch with the ball in his hands. He's a mismatch defensively, rebounding, whatever the case is. The dude has a ton of talent and a ton of ability, and you see why you got him in the portal. You see why you prioritized him as a hell of a ball player. He can absolutely play. And I think seeing him in that first experience in Bramlage was really cool. But that is nowhere near the ceiling for Coleman Hawkins. That's nowhere near the ceiling for any of these guys. And I think we all need to understand that. There wasn't like an immediate outcry of, oh, this team's bad, or oh, this is this. I didn't feel that at all. I was encouraged. I was excited. I see the pieces. And you also see the vision. There's some things where you're like, okay, this person didn't have a great night. This person didn't have a great night. But you see their ability in flashes. You see short spurts of 2 minutes of really good basketball, then 5 minutes of sloppy basketball. The fact that this is the first game they're playing against somebody else goes a long way. They get to change the pace here. That's the beautiful thing. And it's going to get better every week, and I'm excited to see how they bounce back once they've had that first, tighten up, get the first expression out of the way. Like, David Castillo's a guy who, I don't mean to say play nervous, but it's your first college basketball game. I wasn't expecting the dude to go out there and drop 40 off the rip. So I understand the idea of like, hey, let's get the first experience out of the way and move from there. Because I honestly think that first game for everybody is it's kind of a nightmare in all honesty. I mean, it's not the product that you're going to see 10 games into the season, XYZ stuff. But the point of what I'm saying is Coleman Hawkins can play. And for those that may not have lit it up and had a massive debut, it takes time, folks. I'm not too worried about those dudes. They will be clicking as they learn to continue being a team. The second thing that came away, folks, Buddy Rich developed. Buddy Rich played good. And I know that Coach Tang in the postgame talked about how there was more minutes for Buddy because Max wasn't out there. Buddy made do. He wasn't just sitting there at, okay, I'm going to rebound and do this and that. Buddy was moving up the court, and the thing that caught my eye, I think he looked better defensively. He didn't look as lost offensively. He looked like he knew his assignment. He knew like he could do whatever the case is, and he still has that superhuman ability to get to the cup with ease, to be stronger, faster, jump higher than everybody in the court. But Buddy looked like he added some of the intangibles, some of the things that are detail-oriented about his game that really are going to keep him on the basketball court. Now, endurance still goes a long way. He cramped up in the second half, according to Coach Tang, and you kind of saw him walking off the court a little bit. But if Buddy can keep that development state going, you're going to see a lot of minutes from Buddy Rich. And for K-State fans, for everybody watching, you will never be bored if Buddy Rich is on the court. The excitement, the flash, the pop he has, you saw it. You saw it multiple times. The next guy I want to talk about, and this one's not going to be as positive. I think there's a positive and negative with both this. Coach Tang was brutally honest about Doug McDaniel. Doug came off the bench, still played 29 minutes in the contest, but wasn't necessarily as advertised. But I think the idea is Coach Tang understands, hey, he's not ready to be where he's at yet. And he had success at Michigan, but that's also he's playing half the games because he's only playing home games, not on the road games. To be a point guard at this level, there takes a lot of stuff. To be a point guard at this level, and I'm not going to sit here and say that it's not a jump up from the Big 10 to the Big 12. It is. It's a smaller gap than something like what Max would make or what CJ made. We'll talk about CJ in a second, but you understand that there's some caveats that come with that. When you are the guy and all the expectations on you, all the weights on your shoulders, how are you going to step up and deliver? Coach Tang understands, hey, he's got to be less dribbly, he's got to be pass forward, and he's got to not let the mental stuff affect him. Whether it be a team goes down and scores, they blow by him, how does that not affect your game? And that's a give and take, but I don't expect that to just write off Doug McDaniel for the season, and I wouldn't say anyone should. This is a hell of a ball player. You can see the flashes, you can see the explosiveness, you can see him pushing the ball in transition, and you love what he's got, but he's just not necessarily right where he needs to be just yet. But it's not even game 1, it's game 0.5 at this point. So folks, I would not press the panic button on Doug McDaniel. I think he's a hell of a ball player, and you can see that elite quickness. Coach Tang said he's blessed with incredible legs to get up and move and transition, to get up fast. If he keeps getting to that point, and it took a little bit with Tyler Perry too, but towards the end of the season, Tyler Perry figured it out of TP needed to see one of his shots fall, and then he wouldn't miss. That's the way it went for Tyler Perry. Doug McDaniel and Tyler Perry both, in a certain sense, have the idea of you need to energize yourself with your teammates getting involved. And I think Doug has that, but I think Doug definitely has that more than TP did, but the point of what I'm seeing is it's just going to take time. All this stuff's going to take time. Is that kind of a cop-out answer? Sure. But I think Doug McDaniel's a hell of a basketball player, and he's going to really be a big piece of us going forward. Coach Tang knows that. The staff knows that. Doug knows that. Everyone on the court knows that. It just takes time. But in the meantime, a dude that really, really stepped up, someone that if you go back 6 months on this channel, 4 months on this channel, I nailed this. And I'm going to do a little high horse here. Nailed the CJ Jones edition being bigger than people were initially advertising. CJ is a hell of a basketball player. A 6'4", 6'5" point guard that is not selfish. It's facilitating with ease. The dude just makes the right plays look natural. And that's not easy to do. I know it sounds like it's easy to do. It's not easy to do. Makes the right reads. He's unselfish. He doesn't need to get his. He doesn't need to score all the time. But if he has Coleman Hawkins here, he has a two-man game with Coleman Hawkins. If he has David Gasson rolling to the cup or this, the dude looked really, really sharp for us. He was actually the best in terms of efficiency. He had a plus 20 plus minus on the contest, and that's actually a good example. I should go through that on some of the key notable players. CJ led it with plus 20, Buddy Rich plus 14 in 20 minutes. That's big. Coleman Hawkins plus 13 in 32 minutes. Then you go down the list, you've got David Gasson plus 2, Brendan Hausen plus 1, Ugo minus 1, David Castillo minus 6. These metrics, and I think it's just an efficiency rating. I could be wrong. It could be some type of weird metric. I don't know. There's a pretty viral clip last year of one of the K-State basketball girls. It might have been Aoka Lee. It might have been Gabby Gregory. One of the two saying they didn't know what it was. Sign me up for that. I know it's some type of efficiency metric based on when you're on the court, we are 20 points better. When you're not on the court, we're 20 points worse. Is that wrong? Maybe so. If that's the case, that's on me. But CJ Jones was a hell of an addition. And I think the thing you're going to see from CJ, and it kind of works in tandem with Max in my mind, these dudes are incredibly well-rounded, solid basketball players right now. There's not a learning period. And there is a learning period. That sounds like a dumb thing to say. There's a learning period for everybody. The point of what I'm saying is CJ Jones doesn't have to have some massive mountain to overcome to be the player he already is. And we've seen that sometimes in the past where guys have to learn. Hell, even Marquise Noel had to learn how to be the right dude, work in tandem with Coach Tang. Coach Tang had to learn how to be that coach of Marquise Noel and understand the way that he sees the floor in tandem with how he sees his. CJ Jones and Max Jones are the two guys, and we haven't seen Max, so this could be completely inaccurate. But from what I've seen and what I've heard, I think CJ and Max are going to be dudes that if they're on the court, you're going to have good basketball players. That's the way it is. They don't have to be lighting up the scoreboard, scoring 50 points a night or whatever the case is. These dudes can go out and facilitate, get theirs, rebound, push it in transition. And you'll see the best version of Kansas State basketball is defending and getting quick outlets, moving up the court in transition. You saw Doug, CJ, you saw David Castillo facilitating up that way. You saw Coleman Hawkins pushing the pace, immediately rebound, turn, outlet. Quick break. If you're watching this video and you're not subscribed, 63% of the people watching this video right now are currently not subscribed to the YouTube channel. And feel free absolutely to ignore this and skip this, whatever the case is. But those of you that are watching right now and are unsubscribed, Be sure and consider hitting that subscribe button if you love Kansas State, if you appreciate the channel. It's a great way to support me as I continue to grow on this journey, and it's also incredible to bring more K-State fans in like yourself on a consistent basis to see more of my K-State content. Once again, if you're in that 63% or if you're in the alternative in the 37%, I love and appreciate you. Back to the Cats. You know, it's something you've seen guys like Hunter Dickinson do, or guys in the Big Ten do at times where they catch the outlet, immediately going the other way, cross-court pass. More of that and more of the pace is going to be a big deal. Like I said, CJ finished with 9 points, 5 assists in 32 minutes. He played the most minutes of anybody, and there was a reason for that. He's a hell of a basketball player. His size gives issues defensively for other guys, and I think he's a mismatch. CJ Jones is a mismatch. Max Jones will be as well, and I can't wait to see those dudes working in tandem together. 2 more things, then I'm out of here. Brendan Hazen. I am so glad the man has the green light. I'm not even going to sit here and begin to front and say, well, it wasn't a good shooting night. Guy went 5 of 13 on the day. Was cashing NBA threes. These aren't step into a college threes. These are 40-foot threes, and he's splashing them. The quick reason I would say, and Coach Tang talked about it, hits his first 2 shots, or 2 of the first 3 shots, and then Coach Tang talked about it saying he got lazy. He just thought it was going to be his night. Everything was going to work out. Every shot was going to fall. He avoided the footwork. He wasn't focused on his feet. Then you see him bounce back in the second half, settle down, take a shot, step up the feet, a little bit slower, cash it at the bottom of the net. Brendan Hazen's going to get there, and I love that his shooting confidence is there. I don't doubt that man for 1 second, and I'm excited to see him on the court. When you have a dude that legitimately is shooting 45% on the season, he's going to be the best shooter in the country. I know we had some of that with TP last year. Brendan Hazen, you see it. And the team does not mind. I don't think anybody's sitting there saying, why is Brendan shooting so much? What the hell are we doing? Boys, if you have an open shot, or if you have an open shot, but you know that there's a Brendan Hazen next to you who has an open shot, swing the basketball. Kick the basketball around. You could be a hell of a ball player. Let that boy shoot. Let that boy cook. And then last thing, like I've kind of mentioned this whole time, guys will settle in. This is, 0.1 of every game in the season. The guys will get better every week. I don't expect next week to be a finished product by any means, but shoot by conference play, I think this is going to be a good basketball team. And midway through the basketball season, this is going to be a tournament team. You see the talent, you see the ability, and it's exciting. It really is. You didn't get a ton of production of guys like Achor. Achor played okay, but had his moments as well. Stayed out there getting shots up after. Love to see that. Ugo didn't play a ton of minutes. By fall, I thought was actually bouncy and looked athletic. I don't know how many minutes he's going to get going forward, but heck of a ball player. Hopefully we see Moby next week. I think that'd be kind of cool. He had some health issues going on with his dad back home, it sounded like, but and prayers to Moby's family on that one, just as a huge PSA there. But it's going to be an exciting basketball season, and if you couldn't take away that from last night, I don't know what game you were watching. But folks, that's going to do it for today's episode. Sorry this is coming at you a little bit later. This has been a big personal week for me. I've had a ton of stuff going on, so maybe we'll talk about that a little bit going forward. But for now, that's going to do it. I appreciate all the support on the channel. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Go Cats.